Hi, Lyssa DeHart here, and I'm here with Kirsten, and we are going to talk today. I'm going to have you introduce yourself, but we're going to talk today about the ICF credentialing exam because it's something we're both very passionate about. So, Kirsten, I'm going to throw it over to you and let you introduce yourself, and then I'll introduce myself, and then we'll kind of go from there.
So I'm Kirsten. I am the owner and founder of Solutions Academy, an ICF and EMCC accredited coach training school. And I reached out to Lyssa because I think Lyssa's school and our school are the ones that are really producing high quality content on preparation for the credentialing exam. And I've recommended Lyssa's content, and Lyssa's people have also come to our content, and I thought it would be great if we collaborated on talking about the credentialing exam. So that's me. Over to Lyssa.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm Lyssa DeHart, and I have been playing around with this ICF credentialing exam since June of 2022, and I've had a lot of participants who have spent time with Solutions Academy and Kirsten's material, and have been very happy that they have such a wide range of different places to play. And so I did, when Kirsten introduced this idea to me, I was like, yeah, let's definitely share some of the things that we know. So Kirsten, do you want to start us off? I know that we were going to spend a little bit of time really talking about some of the best strategies that we've come across. And I may be like, yes, to something that you have to say.
So I think if you are when starting from the beginning, I think it makes a lot of sense to reflect on which environment you are going to be more comfortable in taking the credentialing exam. Some people prefer to be at a test center where they don't have to worry about the technology. They don't have to set up their computer. They don't have to do anything but show up with their documentation and take the test in a controlled environment. Other people get freaked out by the security measures that the Pearson VUE centers take. And there are some who are very strict and very unfriendly. And there are some who are very friendly and nice. There are different experiences. And then these people prefer to take the test on their own computer and just manage the setup of their computers and get rid of any programs that might interfere with the Pearson VUE software. So really reflecting, what kind of test-taking person are you? Are you comfortable with the tech? Are you happy to stay in your own home? Are you happy to deal with the online proctor? Does that reduce your anxiety? Or are you someone who says, oh no, if I get the tech on top of everything, I'm just going to go crazy. So I'll go to a test-taking center. Exactly. So over to Lyssa.
Yeah, and I'm just going to piggyback on this a little bit. I've really heard sort of horror stories on both sides. So there have been situations in which you're online at home, you're all prepared to take this exam, you've gone through all the setup and checkpoints and all the things that Pearson recommends. And then something happens and your computer just all of a sudden stops working and your internet goes out and a storm comes through. Or in my case, a tree in the forest falls and takes out my electricity. And so at that point, you are responsible for your technology, and that may cause you to not pass this exam and need to pay the refiling fee to retake the exam because of your technology. I've also heard of situations where people are, waiting at home for their proctor to show up, and maybe waiting for 30 minutes to 45 minutes for the proctor to show up. And then they're kind of off their game, and to the point that Kirsten was talking about with, you want to be in the right headspace for this exam, because this exam is a mental exam as much as it is a comprehension and understanding exam. So I've heard, when you go into a Pearson testing facility or Pearson aligned testing facility, depending on what you have close to you, the tech is all on them. So if the internet goes out or if the computer doesn't work or all of that jazz, that's on them and you don't get dinged for it. So there's some real benefits to going into a testing facility. And on the other hand, there's some real benefits to doing it from home, because in the testing facility, sometimes you've got somebody who is next to you, who is noisy, or the people at the front desk are having a conversation and you can hear them, or any number of different things can happen there. But the reality is, I don't know that there's a perfect place to take this exam. So Pearson does have a little like map of like your decision tree about how you might decide to go to the testing center or use Pearson View at home. You can also go online very easily and test out your equipment ahead of time, and then double check and then triple check to make sure that your computer and everything works. Another thing that I've heard that I think is a strategy to be really attended to is that sometimes you'll get a very big screen. And so sometimes I've heard having a smaller screen makes a difference. Now, when I went on to the Pearson site to go through what ICF sent us for testing out what the Pearson experience is like, what I discovered was I'm on a Mac, but Command Plus allowed me to make it as big as possible. So I could see, even though I was on a really big screen, but that may not be 100% the case for you. So definitely, and I'm sure Kirsten has it on her website. I have it on mine. You can very easily go. I've got a link that'll take you directly to that place on the ICF website where you can go and click on the button. We'll put it in the link below this video so you can just find it on the video here and go and test what it's going to look like and feel like when you're taking this exam. You can even drag your answers over to the best and the worst box. It's a great opportunity to play and see how it works with your system, but also get a feel for what it's going to feel like.
I think what you've mentioned, that this is a mental exam. So apart from deciding where you want to go and take your test, take your credentialing exam, also doing the best of mental and emotional preparation that you can do. And again, this is going to be really different depending on whether you are someone who's always passed tests, has no test anxiety, and just goes. Then your danger is not taking the exam seriously enough. And if you're someone who has test anxiety, which is completely normal, a lot of people have that, then the danger is that you're going to limit your ability to perform on the exam by your anxiety. So in that case, getting a coach, finding out, reflecting, what are good ways of calming yourself down? What can you do to be in the best headspace possible for the exam? Be it go for a run before, go for a run after, meditate, go swimming, whatever you do, dance, whatever you do to put yourself in a really good and confident space, knowing that, yes, I prepared, I can do this, and then just calmly read through the questions, read through the answers, because there is a lot of text. And if we're in a good concentrated space, we will be able to process this text much, much more easily than when we're anxious or overconfident, because you really have to read the text carefully. So however you put yourself in the mental space to do that, think about, how do I usually do that, and then actually go and do it.
Yeah. And I want to just amplify that. I absolutely 100% agree with what Kirsten was just saying. And I'd like to add a couple things. One, I have a video on YouTube. You can go look at it. If you need an accommodation, ask for an accommodation. test anxiety is a real issue. And frankly, if you need extra time, I talk about this a lot longer, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but there is nothing wrong with needing an accommodation. And so whatever it takes for you to let go of this idea that there's something wrong with you if you need an accommodation, 100% truth is I would need an accommodation to take this exam. I'd need an accommodation to take any exam, and I would ask for it because it's going to give me the best opportunity to take that test in my way. And so if you need an accommodation, go watch that other video about getting an accommodation, but get an accommodation if you need an accommodation, because if your brain is going to be on fire because you're stressed out, you're not going to do as well on this exam as you might like. So highly recommend that it is a mental game. Having your whatever your mindfulness practices are to get your head in the game is great. And if you also are neurodiverse or have a back injury, or you're just, you under a lot of stress in your life because your parents just moved into your home, get an accommodation, because frankly, you need to be in the best mental state that you can be, as well as having your really good mindfulness techniques to help and support you. There was something else that you were saying that I think is really important, but now I've forgotten it. So if we come back to it, that'll be great. As far as strategies go.
I think what you just mentioned is also very important for people whose native language is not English. We can get an hour extension for the exam, and, don't be vain. Even if, I am technically not a native speaker of English. So I could get that extension, and I would. Why not? If you can get more time,
you don't have to.
You don't have to use it, but there. Every once in a while, there is a word I don't know, or there is something I don't understand, and it may take you longer to read text. Just get that extension, and also be very aware of the difficulties of reading in your language. And then you have to pull the English text into the box. So that just also takes extra time. So I think it's completely fair. Whatever additional time you can get, go get it.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm trying to think of another strategy that I heard that I think is just really a good one. I think for a lot of people, there's a sense of, you get your answer, you get the scenario. And, this is the other thing that I was not remembering. Now I remember. You need the time to read what the scenario is. You really have to fully read through the answer set as well, because you may see words. And in the beginning of this exam coming out, somebody was saying, listen to the verb. And I was like, listen for the verb. Yeah, maybe that's right. Maybe if it says ask, that'll be a super simple strategy. There is no hack for this exam. You will get scenarios that have every single answer in the answer set is going to start with ask or invite or something coach-like. And so you're going to have to read past the verb. You cannot rely on ask or invite or acknowledge or take a breath to be the thing that is like, that's the coaching response. You have to read what the ask is asking. You have to read what the invite is inviting. You have to read what the acknowledgement is acknowledging. And so don't shortcut the answer sets. You have to read them fully.
And one strategy that I've heard that you might want to try out in either Lyssa's or our practice exam is read the answers first, so that you are primed when you read the scenario and know what is relevant information in the scenario and what is not relevant information. Because sometimes you will have scenarios like a 34-year-old software engineer with problems in his marriage is doing, or in their marriage is doing this and that. And the fact that this person is a software engineer and they have problems in their marriage is completely irrelevant, but you won't know what is relevant or not relevant before you've read the answers. So I would play around in our practice exams whether this is helpful for you or not, to read the answers first and then read the scenario, or whether it's easier for you to read the scenario and then choose the right answer. Again, this is not one fix for everyone, because, people's minds work differently, but play around with it.
Definitely. I mean, that's been a guiding principle for when I talk to people about this exam is I really believe that reading the answer set first is important, mostly because I think it helps you to read through the entire answer set. And that seems to be one of the biggest problems that people have is they get cognitive overload because they've read this long scenario about this engineer and his marital issues and all this other stuff that has no relevance on the answer set whatsoever. And then they get to the answer set and they can't remember what are they even looking for? And they get confused. If you're a neurodiverse person who has a difficult time holding and retaining a lot of superfluous, unimportant information anyway, you've given yourself cognitive load in a way that is not going to ultimately be useful to your successful completion of this exam. So, I definitely have been talking about this read the answers first for 2 years now. So I totally am down with the read the answers first. And to Kirsten's point, it doesn't work 100% of the time for everybody, but it is super useful. And especially in these practice exams, try it, play with it, see what happens. Well, I'm looking at the time, and I think these are some of the best strategies that I know of. And there's more, but you can also get in touch with both Kirsten and I, and we would love to support you in your journey and successful passing of this exam. Kirsten, anything you want to add?
No, I guess, a lot of information is available both on Lyssa's course and on our course, and we'll put the links to those in the box below. So, do both. If you really want to be prepared, do both. We talk about test-taking strategies, and there will be another short video on how to prepare for the content that you can also find on our YouTube channels.